Good morning. Happy Thursday. I'm on day 2 of my new sort of exploration devotional cycle, and it's funny because there's 2 or 3 different things I'm kind of doing at once and compiling in my brain. Well, and in my soul, and a lot of them have been rolling around similar territory, so it definitely tells me what I need to speak on. And I am it's funny, I guess in a way I was a little like, really, is this what I'm going to dwell on today? Nice reaction, right? Just because I was feeling a little on the beleaguered side. Over the past couple of days I've had this like slight tension in my belly and chest, just like it was one of those weeks that was looking to be like kind of, good amount of busy. I'm like, alright, good amount of stuff this week. Got 2 things at least that I'm doing that I'm kind of afraid of, and so that's good. And then a bunch of other stuff, and got one thing done last night. It was very exciting because I wanted to get done for months, and then as every day went by, more and more things just get piled on. It was like, oh, these things, they're all good things, but there's just more and more and more, and to the point where I was just like starting to not seize up, but definitely like internally just like buckle down and get a little quiet, and definitely difficult to reckon with my joy. And then I was like, oh, okay, maybe it'll be something about that, about persevering. That'd be great. And then it wasn't really about me at all. At first I was like, what the heck? But then, what the heck, man? And then it really did remind me of an ethos I've learned, been taught, been shown over and over again, and have even repeated and tried to pass on, that when any time of stress, trouble, tension, anything, whenever you're wrapped up in your own problems, the best thing to do, well, it's the second best thing, but the second best thing to do is to go do something for somebody else. Put your focus out. Focus on some other person and go do something, whatever it be. Help them with groceries, anything. So this is more about others and trying to help others, and it also plays into the grand Messiah complex of my dream life, which is another thing I'll get into at another time, I suppose. The Spurgeon stuff was kind of all talking about the law and how Spurgeon Gold, one of the things I'm reading now, pure, refined, talking about the law and how the law, just let's take the 10 Commandments for simplicity's sake right now. The 10 Commandments used to make him tremble, and he would read them and just be like, oh man, I'm a shell of a dude, because all of them castigated and indicted him for his own failures. And maybe you feel that way too. I don't know how y'all feel. Or I feel like some people either find them intimidating and ridiculous, or some people find them just altogether ridiculous and then say, no, I really kind of have my own 10 Commandments, and everyone has their own 10 Commandments sort of thing. Those are the 2 schools of thought I've run into anyhow. But he said that, he used to tremble, but that Christ opening his heart transformed that. So now when he looks at the law, he just sees further proof of the sort of overwhelming mercy of what God did. God could not stomach unholiness, nor would we want him to. We wouldn't want, at least I have a relativistic God just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, well, that's not a God, then that's just another person. We want a holy God, and yet a holy God, why would a holy God brook unholiness? And yet he wants us all, and he loves us all, and then he sent Christ for us all. And this is one of the cool things I've always thought, one of the interesting things Christ said, although that also points to this other point. Then Jesus cried out, this is John 12:44. Then Jesus cried out and said, he who believes in me believes not in me, but in him who sent me, being God, of course. And he who sees me sees him who sent me. I have come as a light into the world, that whoever believes in me should not abide in darkness. And if anyone hears my words and does not believe, I do not judge him. For I did not come to judge the world, but to save the world. He who rejects me and does not receive my words has that which judges him. The word that I have spoken will judge him in the last day. So on one hand, that is such a glorious, like, hooray! Wait, you just came to save us all? Thanks! And he's like, yeah, listen, that's my job. That's my duty right now, is to come here to fulfill the law. And then you basically can ride in on my coattails through nothing but surrender. And, well, not nothing, but you know what I mean. But then he says, in follow-up, no, I'm not here to judge you. That time will come later. And that is something I've always, or I feel like, just needs to be said. It needs to be, like, resaid and said and resaid and restated until people understand it for what it is. That's the joy. I mean, honestly, it's just the same way the law is a joy to those who can't fulfill it on their own, because they're like, oh man, that which would cause me to want to change it or tremble, that I can actually bear through this not through any much power of our own, but through the power of the Almighty. Awesome. And then 2, or B, that it actually is that judgment. Speaking of that, and that judgment speaking of is the judgment of eternity. That at some point we know our species is going to die. Everyone knows this. Science knows this. You know it. We know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. And all of every world religion has said, at some point, just makes sense. All things tend towards entropy. There's going to be an end to this. And then what does that end mean? And what does our beginning mean? And the Bible teaches that the end will produce that final accounting. Now and we never know when our day will come. I don't know whether a plane is going to crash into this building in the next 20 seconds and smash my brains in, and then I'll be dead. And then some may say I'll be fodder for worms. But I believe there's a portion of us that is meant to exist on and on and on and on and on, far beyond any concept of time we may have. And Christ came to save us from that judgment, because that judgment thing it's actually quite scary. To then be like, all right, well, you are blameworthy, as I said you would be, and as you may have felt you were. And since you didn't fall on the mercy of the court, then now I have to sentence you. And you get, it's just hard. Like, in a way, it's kind of horrible. It makes perfect sense. It's very logical. We have a system of justice that echoes it, that we hold dear, and we're so affronted when it runs afoul. So we would be deeply affronted if God's system run afoul. But yeah. But what can save us from that judgment? Christ. And that is a joy. And really, that light needs that darkness to reflect it, or to put it in contrast. So in a way, it's kind of a scary thing to ruminate on this morning, but also throughout that, on the opposite of the scary, just a greater joy still. Hope that wasn't too confusing. If it was, comment, ask me questions. I'll be happy to clarify.